All right, let's get into this. It's really a tale of two cities, two major West African capitals, Accra and Dakar. Now, both of them set out with this big dream to totally transform their public transport using what's called a bus rapid transit system, or BRT. But they ended up in two completely different places. One is a huge success story, and the other, well, it's more of a cautionary tale.
This quote just nails the situation in Accra, Ghana. I want you to picture this, a huge, sun-baked lot, and on it are dozens of these beautiful high-tech buses just sitting there, literally gathering dust. These were supposed to be the future, a fast, modern transit system, but instead they've become these expensive monuments to a dream that just never came true.
So that's the big question, right? How on earth did Senegal pull off Africa's first all-electric BRT, which is absolutely thriving, by the way, while Ghana's project, the Aayalolo, just completely stalled out? Well, the answers tell us a whole lot about planning, politics, and, maybe most importantly, priorities.
Okay, so first up, let's break down exactly what happened in Ghana. The project was called Aayalolo, and the funny thing is, the name means still moving on. It's pretty ironic, because this project is the very definition of one that got completely stuck in the mud.
And to get why this was such a big deal, you have to understand the traffic in Accra. It is brutal. A 5-mile trip, a distance you could probably walk in an hour and a half, can take 2 hours in a vehicle. The city was and still is just desperate for a way out of this gridlock.
So the problems really started right from the get-go. This wasn't some quick flameout. This was a slow burn, a 9-year saga of delays. The funding gets approved in 2007, but it immediately hits wall after wall. You've got local minibus unions fighting it, major construction delays. By 2012, when it was supposed to be done, the World Bank was already giving it a moderately unsatisfactory rating. Yikes. And get this. The project spent over $61 million on a fleet of 245 amazing state-of-the-art buses before they even had the dedicated roads for them to drive on. It's a classic case of putting the cart before the horse. They had these fancy vehicles, but absolutely nowhere for them to run rapidly. A huge, huge misstep.
So in the end, it was really a perfect storm. You had the powerful local minibus operators, the Trotros, who were terrified of losing their jobs. You had what experts called bureaucratic paralysis, where different government departments just couldn't get on the same page. And the fatal flaw? They never managed to build truly separate, dedicated lanes. So those shiny, expensive buses, they were forced to merge right back into the traffic jams they were supposed to be fixing. But okay, while all of that was going on in Ghana, a completely different story was taking shape in Dakar, Senegal. They were putting on what you could only call a masterclass in how to do modern city planning right. And this wasn't just another bus line. We're talking about the entire continent's very first fully electric BRT. It was a huge leap forward. Right from day one, the whole thing was designed to be cutting edge, super efficient, and built around green technology. And if you want to know the single biggest difference, the one thing that changed everything, it's right here. In Accra, their dedicated lanes were mostly just lines of paint on the road. And you can guess what happened. Cars just ignored them. But in Dakar, they built physical concrete barriers. There was zero confusion. That lane was for the bus, period. Senegal's success really boiled down to a winning formula. They had one single, powerful agency in charge of the whole shebang, so they avoided all that bureaucratic infighting. They were incredibly smart about their financing, using the fact that it was an electric fleet to get money from global climate funds. And their whole philosophy was infrastructure first. Build the separate roads, build the modern solar-powered stations, and then bring in the buses. You can really see these totally different mindsets when you look at the money. So let's dive into the data and see where the cash actually went.
So, first, Senegal. Their system cost a whopping $33.5 million per kilometer. Yeah, that's a ton of money, a huge upfront investment, but that money bought them a complete, fully functional top-to-bottom system that actually works.
This table basically tells you everything you need to know. Look at the total cost. Senegal's is 4 times higher. But look at where the money went. Ghana spent a big chunk, over $61 million, just on the diesel buses. Senegal spent way more on their electric fleet, sure, but the rest of that massive budget, hundreds of millions of dollars, went into building the real infrastructure, the segregated lanes and solar stations.
Now compare that to Ghana's cost, just $6.8 million per kilometer.
And what that really tells you is that Ghana tried to build a BRT light. And, as the saying goes, you get what you pay for. That lower price tag came at the cost of the one thing that makes a bus rapid transit system rapid, the dedicated roads.
So, look, this isn't just about project management and spreadsheets. These decisions have a massive, real-world impact on millions of people, on their time, their money, and their lives.
And you can see that impact right here, plain as day. In Dakar, the commute from the suburbs to the city center got chopped in half, from 90 minutes down to 45. I mean, think about that. That's 45 minutes of your life you get back every single day. That is absolutely life-changing for thousands of people.
And it's not just about saving time. A good transit system is an engine for economic opportunity. Thanks to the new BRT, experts estimate that over 180,000 more jobs are now within reach for low-income residents, people who were basically cut off before because their commute was just too long.
Now let's flip back to Accra. Because the system failed, the average person can spend up to 16% of their entire monthly income on transportation that is still slow and totally unpredictable. That's a direct hit to your wallet every single month.
And the cost to the city as a whole? It's just staggering. That endless traffic congestion is estimated to cost the city of Accra over $300 million in lost productivity. That's a heavy weight dragging down the entire economy.
So when you put these two stories right next to each other, you're left with this one big thought. The solution wasn't really about just buying shiny new buses or even getting the funding. It was about having the political will to make the hard choices, to invest in real infrastructure first, and to actually clear the road for progress. It makes you wonder, maybe the biggest roadblock we face isn't traffic at all, but just the will to get things done.